Package delivery.
Did somebody say package?
Yo, James D. Buzzard, and today we are talking about the SmallRig cage for the Sony ZV-E10. I actually pre-ordered this cage the day it was available from SmallRig. However, it ended up getting lost in the mail, so I had to wait a little bit longer for this guy to finally get to my house. However, it got here last week, so I've had a few days to actually play with this thing, and I can tell you guys right up front that this is an amazing piece of kit. However, it has one massive flaw for a ton of different users. So let's not even waste any time today. Let's get straight into it. Let's toss this thing on our Sony ZV-1. Now, starting off, this thing has a magnetic flathead built into it, so you guys can put your guys' cage right on using this 1/4-20 right here on the bottom of the cage. And once you guys get that on, you guys can actually put on the secondary piece. Now, a lot of SmallRig's cages come with a secondary piece to actually keep the camera square into the cage, and it keeps the camera from twisting or anything like that if your 1/4-20 gets a little loose. So it's super nice to have that secondary mounting point. So that's actually what I'm putting on right here. And it does come with 2 Allen keys. One Allen key is to take the grip on and off, and this Allen key that I'm using right now is for the secondary mounting point. Let's first talk about the overall machining and the fit and the finish of this cage. Now, this cage is top notch. Now, I used to design products in SolidWorks and CAD and stuff like that, and this thing is full of chamfers, bevels. They put a ton of extra time into the actual design of this product. This product in no way, shape, or form feels cheap. Even the cold shoe right here has chamfered edges all the way around the cold shoe. Nothing on this is sharp or anything like that. So this is machined very, very well. So I can definitely attest to the fact that this is a quality machined product, and they definitely take their time when designing these things. Moving on, we have the actual finish of the cage. The finish is done in like this satin powder coat, and it is a super nice finish on this thing. Yeah, I don't see any flaws or anything whatsoever with the finish of this cage. Moving on from the actual finish, they even took the time to laser in the on-off, the C1, and they even put the center markers so you know exactly where the center of your sensor is from the back of your camera. This line can also help you guys if you're putting it on a gimbal. It can really help you guys line it up on the gimbal in the exact same spot every single time so that you're not having to, you know, always rebalance it or make micro adjustments to your balance. As long as you're using the same lens, you're always gonna have it dead on in the same spot. So I definitely like the fact that SmallRig provides that center little laser engraved thing right there so that you guys know where the center of your sensor is, and it helps you just to line things up on things like a gimbal. Moving on, we have this big beefy grip on this guy. This grip is amazing. I've been playing with this thing for a few days, and I really am enjoying this grip. Now, I did review or we did check out the Ulanzi L bracket the other day, and after feeling this grip, wow, this grip is amazing. This thing's better, way better than my A7C, which barely has a grip at all. And to be honest, the A7C is barely bigger of a grip than this thing feels. This grip really reminds me of a miniature version of my FX3. It has like that little indent right here, and that indent really allows you to just hold the camera like this, and you can use your thumb to actually, you know, engage your record button. But that really allows you to hold your camera how I like to hold my camera and get those nice smooth handheld shots and stuff like that. And I feel like I have something substantial to hold on to. So I definitely like the fact that SmallRig includes this removable silicone grip. This thing is amazing. I would definitely recommend you guys order your cage with the grip. If you don't like the grip, you can always use that hex key to just go ahead and remove the grip like that. But yeah, I highly recommend this grip. Moving on from the grip itself, we have the actual quarter 20s and everything else that allows you to mount things onto the cage. Now, this has 3 quarter 20s on each side of the cage, and it also has 2 quarter 20s on the top. The quarter 20s on top, in the middle of that, there is an RE locating pin right here. So this actually will allow you to mount things like monitor mounts, top handles, and all this, anything that has an RE locating pin. So it's really nice that they included those RE locating pins, especially if you guys already have some SmallRig stuff that uses that. Now, just a quick note on this camera, they did give you guys enough clearance so that your monitor completely clears the cage, so you guys won't be interfered with the cage bumping into the monitor. Now, moving on from that, we have this base plate right here. This base plate has the built-in Arca Swiss plate, which I absolutely love that all of these cage companies are starting to put the built-in Arca Swiss plate. All of my stabilizers, my slider, my gimbal, my monopod, my tripods, they all use the Arca Swiss base plate system. So the fact that they are putting in the Arca Swiss base plate onto the cage is super nice. One, it saves you like 20 bucks. If you guys were gonna go out and buy a decent, you know, Peak Design, SmallRig, a lot of the other camera companies, they typically tend to cost you guys around 20, 25 bucks for an Arca Swiss base plate. And then you have the issue of where your camera is kind of sitting wonky because you have this added plate on the bottom of your camera, which I've always hated the fact that I put a cage on here and then I have to still put an additional plate onto the bottom of my camera. So that is a super nice feature that they have that right here on the bottom. Along with the Arca Swiss base plate here, they do provide 2 quarter 20s right here, right next to the quarter 20 that actually screws into your camera. And this is going to allow you guys to put a different base plate on here, and it gives you 2 mounting points so you can make sure that it's perfectly in line with this cage, which you know is perfectly in line with the camera body because it has that secondary mounting point. So again, you know, I love the fact that it has all of these extra mounting points on here for you to make sure things are lined up, especially when you have it on something like a gimbal or you're trying to do some panning shots or something like that on a monopod or whatever the case may be. It's just nice to know that your camera's not twisted or wonky or something like that. Now, along with those quarter 20s and the Arca Swiss plate on the bottom of here, you will also notice this little detail, this little notch, this little cutout. This is actually for your cable if you guys were to run something like a dummy battery. So it's super nice that they provide you with that little cutout right there. So if it is flat on a table for whatever reason, you can run your dummy cable out the back of your camera and it's not gonna, you know, be sitting on your table cockeyed or anything like that. Again, down here on the bottom are where your 2 hex bolts are to remove your grip or put your grip back on. And down here on the bottom is your first cold shoe. This cold shoe, I never find them to be super useful depending on what base plate you're using, because it's just a little bit too close to this Arca Swiss plate. So if you're holding it handheld, it's definitely functional, but the second you start using this Arca Swiss base plate, it kind of makes this thing not really very useful. So I haven't found too much of a use for the cold shoe on the bottom of here when I'm actually out and about using my camera, but I guess you could put, you know, whatever cold shoe accessories you wanted to on the bottom of here. Just know that it may interfere with your Arca Swiss base plate. Up here on the top, you guys are actually going to have your second cold shoe. This one's super functional. You could toss something like a Rode Wireless Go, your camera, microphone, your light, whatever you guys wanted to toss on there. That one's super functional. But that kind of brings us to that one major kind of downside of this camera cage, and that is the fact that they actually didn't put enough clearance in between this multi-interface hot shoe and this bar right here. So I can't slide stuff in like my ECM W2BT, the wireless lapel microphone system from Sony that slides in here wirelessly and all of that. I cannot use that with this camera cage because it literally bumps up into the back of the camera cage. For instance, this is a Godox flash, a super common flash that probably a lot of people might use on this camera if you guys are doing a little bit of photography. But just for an example, you can't slide this into the multi-interface hot shoe. There's good 6-7 millimeters sticking out of the back of here, so there's no way to actually push things all the way up into the multi-interface hot shoe to make connection, which definitely sucks and was a major overlook by SmallRig. They have actually addressed this exact issue on a lot of their other cages, specifically for the A7C. The front of the cage bumps out a little bit so that you have the room in front of that multi-interface hot shoe to screw on something like a flash or to put something like the ECM W2BT on there. But anything that uses that multi-interface hot shoe, there's just not enough clearance for it to get past this bar. So that sucks that I can't use my super easy to use wireless lapel system that I literally bought specifically for my ZV-1 and my ZV-E10. I can't use with this camera cage. So that is a huge downside, but with that being said, I do think that we could actually just mill into this cage a little bit. Now, I don't plan on really using this cage too much with this RE locating pin, and I could probably get away with not using the cage with this 1/4 inch right here. So I'm gonna mill into this thing. I will take the chance and destroy this thing, and but I'm gonna mill into it and see if we can get the ECM W2BT to work on here, and I'll kind of report back to you guys in some way, shape, or form. But if I do get that to work, I will let you guys know. But to me, that is a massive downside of this camera. So all in all, this is an amazing cage, and they put a ton of work into it. They have the cold shoe on top, the cold shoe on the bottom. We got a built-in Arca Swiss plate. We have a super beefy grip on this bad boy. We even have like the little laser engraved markings and everything on the top. We have the center line right here in the back. And overall, this is just a very well-made, very well-designed camera cage. So anyways, I have one question for you guys today, and that is, are you guys gonna pick up this SmallRig cage for the Sony ZV-E10, or is that multi-interface hot shoe issue a deal breaker for you guys, and this is just not gonna work for your guys' application? Anyways, that is all I had for today's video. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.